Hello and welcome to another night of Mythology Madness, the pop-up show. I've been working on Merlin the Magician and didn't have a show planned tonight, but I've been really motivated to finish this piece. I really love the way it's coming together, and so I just wanted to work on it a little bit more. I finished some of the other stuff I had to do on this Sunday, and now I'm just relaxing. I watched a little TV, and before I turn in for the night, I wanted to sit down and get some work done. I'm going to be doing some sketching later off camera, but I did want to work on this some more, and because I really love the way it's coming out. It's really, I mean, the colors are very vibrant. It's looking good. It's coming out the way I want it, and I just want to keep that steady flow going. Tonight, I'm going to work on the skin tones. So I did a underwash yesterday with what is that? What is that? I think that's burnt sienna um, or raw umber. It's one of the two. I can't remember which one. Um, but I just wanted to knock out the white and the green um, from the previous wash. But before I do that, so I've been using the blue, the metallic blue, to kind of indicate where I'm going to have magic, and I want to do a little light wash up in here to show that the magic is coming from this direction. Um, this is my lighting tag right here. This is to remind me of which direction the light is coming from, and it'll be Merlin and with a greenish, lush, foresty type background. But I did want to do a little something more with the magic blue, and that's how I'm just going to refer to it as the magic blue. Not that that's exactly what it is, but that's a way for me to remember what I'm doing with it. And basically, I just want to add a little bit more blue magic to what's going on here. Um, so it doesn't just show strictly as green when I do actually do the painting. I want I want that I want a tone of blue kind of showing through. So we'll see how it goes. This is just a wash, and so it's not that big a deal, to be honest. I just want to add a little bit more blue tone in here, and I don't know how it's going to turn out, but that's okay since it's just a wash, and I'm going to cover it up anyway. It doesn't matter too much. Okay, but that's kind of what's where the magic is coming from, and I think it's going to. I think it'll serve its purpose for what I want. That's it. And then I'm going to wet this down, and I'm going to pull streaks of blue magic. Again, I don't know what this is going to look like. I'm just trying some different stuff here. Um, but I'll see what it looks like when it dries. I'm already digging part of it. All right. And next, I'm going to do a really light touch of skin tone on the face and hands. And I added to my palette yellow ochre, mid yellow, and ultramarine blue. And I'm going to work on that face a little bit. Art by Taylor, thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing good tonight. Just working on a little pop up show. Um, I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out, to be honest, but I was motivated to paint tonight. So I'm just getting some colors down on the palette. Some of the colors I know I want to work with tonight. Nothing too crazy, but I do want to kind of flesh out that skin tone a little bit more since I have the cloak really tiled in. I want to see what I can do with the rest of the main character here. I might also work on the staff just a little bit and start to kind of phase in some things I know I want to do with that as well. So much stuff, cool stuff to do. All right, I'm going to start with uh, the little mid yellow. I'm going to start by just bringing that in into the forehead as a light wash. And it picks up some of that brown, which is cool. All right. And then I'm actually going to take a little bit of the red from yesterday. One of the things I love about gouache is just being able to reactivate it with a little water. Oh, that's too much water. But I'll spread it out and let it dry. That's too much. So I'll dab the brush and pick it up. But around the nose and the cheeks and the ears, just give it a little touch of red. Up in the eye sockets. That's part of the underpainting there. And then around the beard, I'm gonna do a little touch of blue, which probably isn't even coming through on camera. Because blue and green makes green. There we go. Get a little of that, get a little bit more blue in there. There we go. And that's a little bit too heavy. So I'll try the brush off and pick that up. Cool. Oh, nope, that's too heavy, too heavy. Get that out of there before it runs into the cloak. Sketchy Visions, how's it going tonight? I decided to do a little pop up and work on the main character of this Merlin the Magician piece that I've been trying to focus on this week. Hope you're doing good tonight. Thank you for stopping by. I'm always surprised when people stop by on a pop up show just because I didn't know I was going to have a show till 5 minutes ago. And I figured since I'm going to be painting, I might as well go ahead and throw it up, turn the camera on. Doesn't change anything I plan to do. So, all right, now I think I'm going to start with the hand, let this dry a little bit, and I'm going to work on this hand a little bit. Um, I really wanted this to be more blue and it came out green, but that's because green and blue make green, but that's okay. Let me pick up some of this. I think I'll still get the effect that I want. It's a greenish blue. It has a bluish tint to it, and I think it'll work out good with the streams of blue. Which I want to make these look like God rays in the end. That's the plan. But the wash underneath, ugh, bugs are flying in the window. And they always want to land on my work. In Florida, it doesn't matter what kind of screens you have, bugs are always going to get in no matter what. So I think I want to find the local tone. I'm not going to try to go with the dark or the light of the skin. I want to try to find a local tone. So I'm going to use the mid yellow with a little yellow ochre and see what that gets me. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Uh, I'm hoping it comes out to something that resembles a nice flesh tone. I might have to touch it up with a little white, maybe brighten it up just a little bit. I hesitate to do that because I don't want to not have anywhere to go if I go with if I, actually, I don't think I'm going to have to. I think this mid yellow and this yellow ochre is going to give me the tone that I want. That's cool. That's a nice tone. That's a nice tone. All right, so now I know that the light's coming down from the top, shadow's going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to use this to kind of capture that mid ground in all of the fingers, the arm, and the face. And underneath here, this is the hand underneath the book is probably not going to have much local color at all. But up here, where the light's on top, I should be able to get a little local color in there. I already messed up too much on that one, but that's okay. It's okay to mess up with paint because it's so easy to fix it with paint. One of the nice things about working with gouache, and this is actually coming out more orangey, but I think it's picking up some of the green from the wash underneath. But you can, if you're careful, you can layer gouache. It's water based, but it's not watercolor. So since you can get some opacity to it, it offers a lot of different benefits that watercolor doesn't. If this was oils, I'd have no problem at all. But I don't use oil paint anymore, primarily because I'm lazy. That is really the main reason. The cleanup, the setup, I just don't want to deal with it, to be honest. So I think this will be a good local color, knowing that I'm going to have a lighter version and a darker version. I think that'll come out all right. And I'm going to move over to the face and get some there. Oh my God, 50 Cent in the house. How's it going? Thank you for stopping by. So if Blue Magic is going to be on like the top of the forehead, but his head's kind of tilted down. So right around there is where the local value will be, stopping at the eye sockets. I have to make sure I leave room for eyebrows as well. Doing this is going to be, I'm gonna give him a little bit of bag under his eye. I don't know if he should have it, but he's gonna have it. This is fairly opaque, but I can still see the pencil lines underneath, which is what I wanted. I don't want to lose my guide mark. The nose is going to have a highlight as well. And the lips are going to be more reddish. This is going to have a, I'll bring it all the way up to the hairline, even though I know I'm going to add a touch of blue to it. And although there won't be much local color underneath, I'm going to give just a little indication so that we can see the exposed hand around the knuckle maybe. Jimmy7694, thank you for stopping by. Just working on a little Merlin the Magician tonight, pop-up show. When inspiration strikes, you got to go after it, right? Actually, it wasn't so much as just inspiration, as opposed to I really just want to get some work done. I was a little inspired. This piece has been coming together pretty good, and I want to capitalize on that. I'm trying to work a darker value for the shadow of the face. And I don't want to just put black in it. So I'm adding ultramarine blue. And I think it's giving me something that's a little bit more creamy without making it mud. We'll see here in a second what it looks like. I think that'll work. It's not as thick as I would like for it to be, but that's okay. It is opaque enough to cover up the pencil lines, so it must be thick enough to use. And I think it has somewhat of a greenish tint to it. Oddly enough, I'm colorblind, so a lot of the times the color I see is not the color everybody else sees, but it usually works out in the end. Actually, yeah, I like that color. I like that color. And it is just thick enough to give me what I want. Maria, thank you for stopping by, even if just for a moment in time. I appreciate it. Just getting a little work done on my Merlin the Magician tonight. I really wanted to get some tones on the skin. Rarely can I just sit down and do a painting in one session, or even in one day. I usually take a couple of days to finish, which allows me time to kind of look at it. I get to sit on the easel or on my drawing board every day. And so as I'm looking at it, I start seeing it from different eyes. And I go, ooh, I start to see it as if I'm seeing it from the first time. And it helps me kind of put things in perspective on where I want stuff. But I do like this color. It came out really nice. Who's ever on, I would love to know where you're from. Uh, I, I don't think I do Sunday nights hardly ever, so I'm very interested to know who's watching on Sunday night. I'm not doing an old version of Merlin. Um, as I read and research about Merlin, he's got some fight to him as a warrior. He's not just an old magician. He wasn't born old. Oh, Drippy Art in the house. What's going on, Drippy? I was looking at your profile the other day. I didn't see anything posted. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, tonight I wanted to work on the skin and get some skin tones down. So as I'm walking around tomorrow, I can start to visualize what I want to do next. Did you get any work done today? Gouache. I'm using Illustrator gouache. Acrylic. I like the way the Illustrator gouache. I can reactivate it. Whereas the acrylic, once it dries, that's it. Now I know a lot of illustrators that use acrylic or acrylic gouache. Um, I just don't think it's something I want to use right now. I do have some that I will do live painting with at a show because it needs to be dry enough for me to hand to somebody. But for the most part, I prefer the Illustrator gouache that has that I can reactivate. Primarily because, and I was just talking about it, I very rarely finish a painting in a day, and I need to be able to come back to it and reactivate the colors and the paints. And the gouache lets me do that. So I can blend a year from now. There's actually a painting that sat for a year that I had sit for a year, and I was able to put some water on it and reactivate everything. I was pretty happy about that. Yeah. Yeah. I used to just do watercolor with my mixed media. And when I went back to art school for concept art for movies and games, one of my instructors was like, "Have you tried gouache?" And I'm like, "No, I have not." And he was like, "Try it. I think you're gonna like it. It's a lot more opaque than watercolors. You can do more with it." So I gave it a shot, and I have been pleasantly surprised. I took some workshops online with the Watts Atelier, and yeah, I've been very happy with the results. I started off just doing 4x6 color comps, and then I expanded to some of the full paintings like this. I like working 9x12. That's the perfect size for me. If it's too big, I can't really see what I'm working on. If it's too small, I can't get the level of detail that I want. I I highly recommend anybody who wants to get started with painting, whether it's oil painting, acrylic painting, or any type of other painting, to try gouache because you can water it down and get the watercolor, or you can use it as it's intended. Uh, but because it is um, water based, the flexibility you have with it is just it's so cool. I've definitely been able to up my game with it the more I use it. And some of the paintings I've been able to create with it are, in my opinion, unbelievable. Something I just things I never thought I'd be able to do, like with gouache. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. I think I'm going to use this to kind of lay in some beard too, because this color will work as some of the major blocks of the beard and the mustache. Just starting to add a little volume to the hair. For me, hair is one of those things I consistently have to work on because I don't want to overdo it, and I always tend to overdo it for one reason or another. Establishing the blick blocks and then adding just enough detail so you can tell like the type of hair, whether it's curly, straggly, straight, kinky. Yeah, it is. It's very, very malleable to however you want to paint. And like this is watering it down is how I got this underpainting with the blue and the green. And then this brown is this I think this is burnt umber. It's almost straight out. It's just a little bit of water just to make it flow out of the tube. But then as I get closer to the end, I'll use it straight out of the tube to start adding depth. And that's one of the things I really like about it is with oil painting, you get that depth of the paint automatically. And with watercolor, you get none. I mean, watercolor lays flat, you get no depth in it whatsoever, right? With gouache, you can water it down to keep it nice and as a wash. But here you can see where I was able to reactivate it to up in here. I painted this on Thursday and I was able to reactivate it and like kind of thin it down today. So, that worked out really well for me. Yeah, I love hair. I study people who do it right, and I go, okay. Um, I used to didn't do a lot of master studies, but I do. I don't do them as much as I should. But every now and then, I'm like, okay, I want to do something I don't know how to do, and I got to do a master study. I got to figure out what's the best way for me to do it. It will warp the paper. It is water based. So if you're going to use a regular Bristol paper, uh, just tape it down on the sides. Do I have one that's taped right now? Am I working on one? No. So what I usually do is if I'm using paper, uh, actually I'll show you real quick because I do have one that I just finished. Hold on. So these are the color comps that I do to, that's just paper. It's a regular Bristol. But what I'll do is I'll lay it down on one of my mats and I'll tape it because if it's taped, once it dries, it will dry flat again. And then and and then I do these little color comps. I do these to see if I want to make a bigger painting. So this is a 6x8, and and I also do them in 4x6. And I do these in 15 to 30 minutes to see if I like the color palette. I don't try to put a lot of detail. And then if I do like it, I'll do a detailed sketch and then you know, go full bore. But if you're gonna use paper, which I do, I use paper for some paintings as well. Just use 100% cotton, and it holds water a lot better. But for the paintings that I know I'm going to put a lot of time and effort into, I use canvas board. So that's an actual canvas board. I don't know if you can see the thickness on it. So I can be as abusive as I want to on this. It's not going to work. It's and I also if when I have time and I'm not being lazy, I will make my own boards with gesso on hardboard. If I do that, I try to do 5 or 6 at a time. But if I'm lazy, I keep a stack of the canvas panel boards. And the thing is, they're not. It's a press board, whereas the masonite is much more sturdy and a higher end. So those are the three high ends that I use. So for painting, for color comp, I just use paper. For a full painting that I'm not going to spend a week or two or a month on, I'll use the cotton paper, and that sells at a different price point. Then I'll use the 9x12 board like this, that sells at a different price point. And then I'll use the hard masonite with gesso, sand it down at another price point. It just depends on, how detailed I plan on going, what price point I want to set for the work. Is it a commission or is it my own thing? So uh, just trying different things and seeing what I like and what I don't like. So that came out pretty good. Now I've got some good skin tone in there. I'm going to mix this with a little bit of white. And I really don't have a place to do it. So I'm not going to mix that. I'm going to make a whole new color section on my canvas or my palette. My palette is a mess. So here's the other thing. I keep the palette until I'm completely done with the painting. Because it's water-based, I can add water anywhere on this palette and reactivate any of those colors and use them for painting. And then I use the little blue rag and I wet it down, and it helps keeps I squeeze out the tubes here and I mix here, but it helps keeps them from drying up as fast while I'm painting. But none of this is stuff that I came up with. This is all stuff I learned from other artists. Um, well, I might have the aluminum baking tray that I use for a palette. That was my idea. I hadn't seen anybody do that. I'm not going to say I invented it, but I'm sure somebody else did it before me. But people were using butcher trays, and they're porcelain, and I didn't really like that. And my wife is a chef, and I asked her, could I steal one of her baking pans? And she said, for what? I said, for painting. She said, no. I was like, okay. So, but I just ordered some nice ones off of Amazon, and once I started using them, I was like, oh yeah, I love it. Because here is another one from another painting that I'm doing. And I keep a couple of trays in rotation. And as one painting is finished, I wash it out in the laundry sink, start a new painting, and the other palette is still good to go. I'm not super at color, so I don't like trying to remix a color that I did a while ago. So I'm like, I need the color to be there when I need it. So now I'm going to try this, and this should give me a little bit lighter. The other thing about gouache is once you paint an area, you really need to let it sit and dry. Because it's water based, if you go over it and over and over it on the same spot, it will start to reactivate the layers underneath and pick them up, and then you'll just wind up with mud. That's why I started doing the smaller 4x6 and 6x8s until I kind of got used to the gouache and how it behaves. And different gouache behaves differently. For example, the Winsor Newton dries fast, but it's very opaque. It's a really good brand. Um, the And it's a little bit stiffer. To get it to flow, I have to add a little bit more water, but it dries faster and it is very opaque. The whole beans, they flow like butter. They are so creamy. Most of the and they come in so many different colors. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's not the one I'm thinking of. Artesa, those are nice, and they come in so many different colors. Most of the time, I'm using the Artesas, but for the colors that I use all the time, like yellow ochre, cat red, black white, I'll probably use the whole beans more. Also use the M-gram for black and white. Most of them, the they don't make too much of a difference, but they do make a little difference. They make a little difference. The first time I used the Windsor Newtons, they were drying so fast. I was like, "Oh my god!" But they're I mean they're beautiful. I mean the opacity on them is just it's beautiful. It really is. But the Artesas are nice and they're super affordable. Uh, Most of the gouache comes in the same 12 milliliter tubes, but the Artesa brand, I love. I love their color selection. I love the color selection, and most of the time I get it for less than $1 or two. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Whether you come by just for a second or for longer, I am very thankful for everyone who stops by to say hello and check me out. I always want to say that. And I'm digging the way this is coming out. The other thing about gouache is it doesn't really blend. Like oil paints were made for blending, and gouache was made to not blend. But there are ways to blend it with water glazing and dry brush techniques, and that's the other thing is learning how you want it your piece to look and how to get the effect from what you want. Yeah, this I use I I water the gouache down to where it's similar to watercolor. If you use straight watercolor for your backgrounds or for your underpainting, the cool thing is the watercolor when it dries, it won't reactivate. So if I laid down the green with watercolor, it's not going to reactivate once it dries. But what I do is I just water the gouache down enough where it flows like watercolor. But then I have to be careful because it can be picked back up by activating it. But sometimes that's exactly what I want. Like up in this corner here, I wanted to reactivate because I wanted to do something different in that corner. And the light is coming from this way. So I wanted this to be, I'm going to paint trees here. And I want this to be able to shine through like it's shining through the trees. So I had a method to the madness when I was doing it. I have no idea if it's going to work out, but that was the goal. That's what I was going for, and I'm hoping it works out. And my brush is getting a little cake on it, so I'm gonna have to wash it out. But I think the skin tone is coming through pretty good. I'm digging it. I am digging it. Yes, when I'm doing mixed media, I will do gouache as a background underpainting. Then I'll use alcohol marker to go on top of that. And then I'll use pen and ink and gel markers on top of that. So yeah, gouache works really well as multimedia art. And my cat's going crazy because something is crawling on the screen. It's either birds, ducks, or squirrel. He's guarding the patio. Although he doesn't do anything. He lets the lizards in the house. I've got some trash that, there we go. I had a piece of trash get on my brush. I had to get that off. Yeah, it's Gouache. Gouache. Wash. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at, yeah, throw an A between the U and the C. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you can do with it. And then if you want to move on to acrylics or oils, you know, this will, because gouache is a little stubborn, um, it will make you eat to its will sometime. So if you move on to some another medium from gouache, you may find that, like, wow, everything is so easy after gouache because gouache was giving you such fits. And I think I'm going to throw a couple of strands in the hair. Just to as an under, because I'm going, the hair is 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 going to be a lot different, but just throwing something underneath it, if it shows through later, it'll just kind of add a cohesivity to it. And underneath, I'm not going to have any of that. And so now I'm going to go with the even darker version. Risk it for the biscuit. I can dig it. I can dig it. Thank everybody for stopping by. I appreciate it. Seeing a lot of people pop in and out, and I dig it. I love the fact that people just stop by and check me out for a minute or two, or even a couple of seconds. I will be having a fantasy art sale in a month or two. I've got a lot of work, that original work that I just haven't, color comps, the 4x6s and 6x8s, that I'm going to be auctioning off sometime in the near future. All right, now I am going to add just a touch of black, and that's already too much black. Touch of black to this mixture. And go in with some of the really deep. Okay. I'm already not liking that. That's too thick. Let me trim that out just a little bit. The other thing is making sure I control the amount of water on the brush. When I'm trying to do these tighter lines, if there's too much water on the brush, it will just start flowing all over, mess up everything that I did. And I oftentimes don't pay attention, and I wind up not ruining the drawing, but putting myself back several steps because I have to come back and redo what I just washed out. The other thing that I have to make sure, I'm a hand rester. I rest my hand on my palette, and I have to make sure it's dry because I can reactivate it by resting it on my artwork. Yeah, she wasn't feeling good. I'm hoping she gets better soon. I'm gonna have to send her a message and wish her some well wishes. I love what the patience the patience she shows in her artwork is admirable. She is so inspiring to watch with the level of detail that she puts in. Oh man, I love watching her and her monsters come together. It is a joyous sight. Now I'm at a part where I really should be using a different brush. I'm being a little stubborn, and in my mind I'm like, if I'm patient, I can do it. I won't ruin it by making a big mess, Brad. But I really should have dropped it down to a smaller brush. The Casey Jones project. What is that? When I see Casey, I automatically think Casey and the Sunshine Band, which might be dating myself at my age. Oh, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what? I just drew my first turtle a couple of weeks ago. Someone asked me to do on sketch card Saturday night. They asked me to do the last Ronin Ninja Turtle, and I was very unfamiliar. And then I did the research on it, looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And she's the she's the girl with him, right? Is that correct? Yeah, I was. A couple of people would ask me a couple of times, like, "Do the last Ronin, do the last Ronin." And I was like, "I'm not doing it. I don't know what that is." And then finally somebody was like, "Just look it up and be prepared to do it." And I was like, "All right." So I looked it up, and I was like, "This was pretty cool." And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's Michelangelo. He is the last turtle. The rest of them all got killed, and so he goes Ronin. And yeah, it's a pretty cool story. You know, once I've gotten to it, I was like, "Oh man, that does sound pretty cool." And it was fun to do. Um, one of my art buddies. Where's my stick? My palms are getting sweaty. I'm scared I'm going to mess up something. One of my buddies that I work with in my comics, he's like, "Dude, just do it. You'll love it." It's basically Michelangelo as a Last Avenger type thing. So I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I will admit. All right, this came out a lot better than I thought it was. I think they all sold. Let me see if I got any left. I know they may have all sold. Just a second. I have them right here. Oh, I thought I had them right there. I moved them already. Okay, I don't have them to show. I don't know where all my sketch cards went. That's not good. Oh, here they go. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I think they may have all sold as I was doing them. I need to do some sketch card auctions. I haven't auctioned off sketch cards in a long time. Where do I have any left? They are all sold. All of them sold. They all sold. Yep. Which is a good problem to have, right? Everything sold out. If we only had that problem all the time. All right, now I'm going to try to attempt to put a little bit of pupil in the eye. Yeah, that is the, when I first started doing art, it was very hard for me to let go of some of the work. Oh wow, they came out all right. They need to, should they be bigger? Um, and I remember, but then I realized I can make more. I made that one, but every now and then I will do a piece that's just for me. Um, Not a lot, but sometimes I'm like, I want to do some artwork for myself, and I do. I'll just sit down, and it may be a pen and ink or a painting or whatever, but I'll sit down and do it for myself. As I bump the camera, sorry about that. All right. What else do I want to do on this tonight? Uh, oh, the blue. I want the blue. I don't have any more blue magic out, so I'm not going to squeeze. Actually, I am. For my magic, I am using the Pearl Cerulean Blue, Arteza brand. They make nice pearl metallic colors. And I'm going to put just a little bit more magic out. This is coming. I really like the way this one is coming together. I really do. What do I want to do with this? I don't want to use this brush. Let me get a new fresh brush. Something I haven't tainted with a bunch of colors yet. It's, what is it? 9 o'clock. I don't even remember what time I started. Does it show how long I've been on? All right. Or what time the show was scheduled for? I guess I should. It'll show that. But I do want to try to put a little magical highlight in there. My blue magic. And I just keep touching it up here and there because I don't want it to sit on top of anything. But when I cover it up, it will be, it'll have some areas that it shows through, and I think it'll be kind of cool. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going for. Yeah, I know there's a way to do it. It really doesn't matter. I just was wondering. As soon as I stop it, it will tell me how long it was. but I want to keep some of that magic on top, dripping down, coming down. Um, because at the end, I'm gonna do something. I don't know. I might just like fleck it on the painting or something, and I want to tie it all together with this blue magic pearl that I'm working on. You know how like on pen and ink, um, people use like white out or black, and they'll use a toothbrush and flick it. I'm gonna kind of do the same thing with the blue. So I want to keep it showing on the painting, so it gives that magical effect toward the end of the magic just dripping down and raining on him as he's a caster. Yeah, dripping it down. Once again, thank everyone for stopping by tonight. And if you're watching this on YouTube as a replay, uh, I try to paint on Thursday nights where I do fantasy art live painting. And then on Saturday nights, I do pop culture and comic fan art. And that's usually sketch cards or comic sketchbook covers. But on Thursdays, I try to do original pieces of fantasy art painting. And I must say that I am not mad at how this has been turning out. I'm glad I decided to do a pop up show tonight. I was feeling it and I was right. After this, I'll probably grab a quick snack and then I'll do some sketchbooking, which is one of my favorite things. Just making ugly as hell art in my sketchbook. But it really helps me ideate and get some stuff out of my head. And I really wanted to get the flesh in. I like the way the skin tones came out. I wasn't sure how it was going to go down, but I think it went down pretty good. I got to figure out a way to also want the spell book to kind of make it look like the magic is emanating from the spell book and the staff. Don't know how it's going to work yet, but that's the goal. For me, that's probably the best part is not knowing how it's going to work and just getting in there, figuring it out. If I don't like something, it's paint. I can cover it up. And with gouache, I can erase it. I did that on the Medusa Gorgon painting that I was working on. I didn't like the way I was doing something. Actually, it wasn't even that. I dropped the brush, bam, right into the painting, and I just took a little water and I erased it. That's cool about gouache as well. You can like I could erase a whole patch with just a little bit of water. That's cool. But I dropped it like right on her back, big plank blob. If it was oil paint, actually with oil paint, it wouldn't have been a problem either. With watercolor, it would have been a big problem. Ain't nothing you can do about it. With acrylic, if you catch it quick enough, you can do something about it. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to play with the blue magic a little bit more up top. I thinned that out on purpose. And now I just want to come in with that blue, which I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. But because I just took a little water, reactivated it, it was no problem whatsoever. And now I've got that blue magic that'll show through. And if I can, I'm going to try one more thing before I call it a night. I'm going to try to work on the God rays just a little bit. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I've never painted God rays before, um, except digitally, which honestly, digitally, it's so easy to do. You just do them on a layer, adjust the opacity, and boom, you're done. But I've never done this painting. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I will tomorrow after I sleep on it. If I don't like it, I'll take a little water, I'll lighten it up. I'm already not liking the fact that I can't do a straight paint line. That I'm already mad at myself. Like, man, you can't, even with my guide, using my guide, I can't get a straight. And I'll see how that dries and what it looks like. But now I've got all of, oh no, I didn't do the hair. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the hair. I don't know if I'm going to give him white hair, gray hair, blue hair. Again, I'm trying to go with a middle-aged Merlin. Um, but I've got a good start in the hair. Assuming he had brown hair as a younger guy. Maybe it's kind of streaked with white from practicing magic. Uh, we shall see. But I think that it came out pretty good. The hand I really like. Got the magic dripping over his arm. The face is what I really wanted to do. Underneath, I got the hand showing. I dropped some paint right there, it looks like. But that's okay. I can fix that. But overall, I think that's pretty good for a night's work. I really could have worked in the mouth a little bit more, but I'll let this dry. I'll let it sit. Then I'll do the mouth because the hair will probably be the last thing I do since the hair sits on top of everything else. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Gray blue could reflect the light. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Get some blue magic reflecting the light in the hair. I like it, but I like the eyes. I like the determination in the face. Thanks for hanging out. This was just a quick pop up for me to kind of do some experimentation with the background. And I lay down the color block for the skin tone, which I like the way it came out. And it still leaves me room to go lighter and darker. But I've got some good mid tones in there. So I appreciate everybody stopping by. Drippy Art, thanks for the conversation. I really appreciate it. And it makes things go by faster having someone else to talk to. Everyone else, you all take it easy. And I'll see you all again later. Peace out.